Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, feel good Engleski. Happy birthday to me. Woohoo! Cheers! I will not drink straight away because it wouldn't be professional until I record this episode till the end. But you can already guess what the topic of today's Feel Good Engleski podcast episode is going to be. And that is my company's 4th birthday. We've reached the grand number 4. Like, wow. But my business is still such a baby in terms of businesses, even though some business mentors would definitely tell you to not think of your business as your child. But I don't care. I do think of it like that because it really is my child. I gave birth to it on March 11th, 2021, amid Corona and all of those bad things that were happening back then in the world. And I've witnessed so many changes and all the beautiful and bad things that always, happen because they go hand in hand. And I couldn't be more of a proud mom. Hashtag. This episode is going to be exclusively in English because I want to honor the language that I teach others. Plus, I also want to go back to the roots when my podcast was only in English. But over time, I've realized that for all of you, it would be better to keep the main part with the main message in Croatian because it's really important to me that you fully understand what I'm trying to transfer to you. So I decided to go with the best of both worlds to combine English and Croatian. But today I'm the birthday girl, so I can switch up the rules a little bit. So today you will get this whole episode exclusively in English. But I'm not going to talk about 40 rules or 40 things that I learned in the past 4 years. But I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go like meta, and I'm going to combine my business and language teaching. So I'm going to do sort of a language loop. So how my business and language teaching fuel each other. Under fuel each other, I mean they make each other so much better. They have such a good influence on each other. So first, I'm going to give you 4 ways, because it's my 4th birthday, of course, in which language teaching influenced the way I show up in my business today. So the first thing, obviously, is straightforwardness. This is something that you realize pretty fast about English when you start teaching English to others. English is such a direct language. Like, it doesn't need any confetti, any fireworks, or other special effects. It just wants to get the message across as soon as possible. And that's it, period. Because we as Croatians have this tendency of over-explaining ourselves, adding so many details that are completely unnecessary to the story, 10 other storylines, and then we all get lost in what we actually tried to say. This has helped me immensely to show up in my business in that same way every single day. Because in the beginning, I would often overcomplicate, overanalyze, go into overwhelms because of such minor details. But then again, to be soft on the previous version of myself, that was completely normal. It was the beginning and I was DIYing 80% of the time. And I have this theory that we're all DIYing our whole life, whether it's our business or our private life, because no one knows, no one has the instruction manual. We're all individuals with different set of needs and wants and etc. So I just think that it's a completely normal thing. But we need to make things a bit more simple for ourselves, and that's what English gave to me. And I couldn't be more grateful for that because today things are much clearer in my business thanks to that type of English mindset. Second thing, patience. I could talk about that for hours. I think I've always been a very patient person, but teaching English to others has elevated that skill to some extremely new level I wasn't even aware of that actually existed in real life. So When you teach English to others, you really have to expand all of your capacity for being patient with someone, especially when people went through some trauma with English, when you have children or older people. Some of them are interested, some of them are forced to learn English, so you really have to have many tools to go around all of those limitations. So little by little, year by year, I've literally trained my patience to the max of all maxes, if I can even say it like that. And naturally, it sort of flew into my business pretty easily because I've always been very patient with others, but not with myself. I think it's a pretty common occurrence, and we always want everything to happen extremely fast because we're here, we're doing the right thing. Why isn't anything happening right now? So it has really helped me to stay consistent, especially when it comes to some of my social media, for example, Instagram, because I am very frustrated that my number of followers is growing slowly. But through this patience I've built with my clients, I'm also able to give that patience to myself and finally see some Instagram growth, for example. Number 3, structure. This may come as a surprise to some of you, but in my case, language teaching really put a lot of structure into my business. So it wasn't the other way around, because mostly people expect business to have this sort of structure that then naturally flows into your language teaching. But since we're talking about English, it has its own set of rules, exceptions, etc. You need to know a fair deal of that to be able to wield the language pretty well, or at least in the way you want it. So, because I've been repeating that every single day for the past 4 years, basically, it has really given my business that structure that it lacked in the beginning. Because like I mentioned, I was DIYing 80% of the time, which was completely normal. But over time, this skill really enabled me to have a pretty good solid base of my business from which I can build it up and up. And the last thing, number 4, is listening. I can talk a lot, you can see that. I literally make a living from talking. If someone had told me that 4 years ago, I would have told them, you're freaking crazy, but here I am, living proof. But I can also listen to others a lot, and I think it's extremely important because you would be mind blown to hear how many times people have had some completely different idea about what's wrong with their English in their head during my classes. And when they would actually tell me, some completely other story would come out of their mouth, literally. I was also in shock in the beginning, but in most cases, we just talk. We don't even listen to ourselves. So it's very useful that from time to time, we talk with someone else and that person listens to us. And then that person can give us a different type of feedback, something we wouldn't even think of in that particular moment. Of course, listening is such an essential thing in business because you need to be able to listen to the other person and actually hear what they're trying to tell you in that particular moment. Because if you just go inside and you're in the sales process of some kind, you give your pitch, you tell them you're the best in this and that, and you're just trying to push your services or products, whatever you have in your business suite, then it's a missed opportunity for me because you have literally made that conversation a monologue. It's not a dialogue anymore. You've excluded that person from the conversation. They're just an object, in my opinion, for you. So listening is this one thing that will single you out from many other people in business. And that's the end of part 1, how language teaching influenced the way I show up in my business every single day. And now we're going to go a bit vice versa. So we're going to look at how my business influenced my language teaching in a very good way. So number 1 would definitely be optimization. I really needed that in my language teaching because all of those operational tasks I had to do would always be so heavy for me. I literally hated that. And through my business, I literally learned that if I schedule some things in a good way, and if I sort of break them down into size-bite tasks, then I can do that in no time. Also, delegation was a huge thing for me, so it goes hand in hand with optimization. But through my business, I could literally easily do that in my language teaching. So in the beginning, I would do stupid things like send an email with materials to my clients 3 days in advance. And I cannot even explain why I did that in the past, because in most cases, people understood it in a completely different way. So they would normally go through those materials, they would solve all the tasks, send them back to me, and they would say, oh, look, I did all of this. What are we going to do during our class? And I would be like, no, like that was for our class. But of course, it was my mistake because I sent it 3 days in advance before our class. And I don't know why. I cannot explain that. I literally have no explanation. I just wanted to show people that I'm super prepared, super excited for a class. But of course, I did not mention to them, do not do this in advance. It's for our class. So I did a few tweaks here and there. I do not do that anymore. And finally, I learned the lesson. Now I schedule all of my emails. So I've really optimized so many processes in my language teaching thanks to my business. Number 2, transitional skills. It's a term a lot of people are not aware of, but those are skills you learn from one area, but they could be useful to you in some other areas. So as an entrepreneur, I really went through thousands of hours of educations on basically anything from Excel to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is a very important part of my business because it has this connection to language and how we talk to ourselves. So through all of those skills I have acquired throughout the last 4 years, my English teaching has literally been elevated to a whole new level because I was able to use some of those skills to make my teaching much better and the whole experience for all of my clients way better than some of them even expected that to be, especially when it comes to NLP. Because when I used that listening skill that I was talking about earlier, I could clearly hear that what the biggest problem for my clients is fear, because they all have blocks. They want to run away from the conversation or they go into panic mode when they need to speak in English. So it's not about the grammar or vocabulary like I always mention, but it's more of a mindset thing. So there I got a clear input. Okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And you have this knowledge, from NLP, you have the techniques and you can help them. So this transitional skill really helped me to put myself out there as someone who offers something completely different for ESL learners. Number 3, improvisation. That shouldn't come as such a big of a shock because I have already mentioned that I had been DIYing 80% of the time, literally, in the beginning of my business. But that improvisation literally helped my English teachings become more relaxed the way they are today. Because in the beginning, I was very strict. You have a set of rules, this is this and that, and you shouldn't do anything else. Don't try to improvise too much, it will not end up well, etc. But throughout time, as I had to improvise a lot in my business, because it happens, you have new situations every single day. You've never come across such a situation, and you need to act fast. You need to think in a brand new way. So that type of improvisation literally made my teaching so much better and in the way it is today. So I think most of my clients have benefited the most from this improvisation skills, because today I literally tell them that English is made for improvisation, and I truly, truly believe that, but thanks to my business, of course. And the last one, number 4, and that is innovation. Innovation is such a good thing because it can literally change everything we have known until that moment. So in business, especially in entrepreneurship, you need to be very innovative. You have to think of many ways how to promote yourself, how to put yourself out there, how to create better content, the one that connects you better to your audience, etc. And also, I really, really like to be extremely innovative when it comes to my products. So I was always very, very innovative in that segment, but normally I wouldn't transfer that to my classes. But over time, over these 4 years, I have also began being more innovative throughout my classes, including more games into my classes, maybe some unexpected moments, some very funny things we can do, some cool exercises, because I literally realized that is what makes me special. I am innovative. You know, I've combined this mindset story with English, and also through this innovation, people can always expect something new from me. It's not going to become boring for them. Of course, there is one part of my audience that likes everything by the book, and I completely understand them and I respect that. But I am extremely proud that I have been able to combine this innovation from a business with my English teaching in general. To conclude this birthday episode of Feel Good Engleski podcast, I have come to a conclusion that my business and teaching English to others have formed this beautiful, positive cycle in which they infuse each other with what the other one lacks or needs, however you would like to look at it. So the learning is mutual, it's constant, and I cannot wait to see what other things I'm going to learn in the next 4 years or the next 44 years. Let's be optimistic. Thank you for tuning in into today's episode and for celebrating this huge milestone with me. Again, cheers. Now I can finally drink a bit of this champagne. Champagne is my favorite drink. Maybe I've already mentioned that. If I haven't, now you know it. So if you ever come across and you have a bottle of champagne on you, I would be completely open to drink that with you. So have that in mind the next time we cross paths. Thank you so much once again. If you liked this episode, please comment. I would really like to know your light bulb moments that you got from this episode. I wish you all the best, and I will see you in 2 weeks with something brand new. So now I'm starting this whole series of podcasts. They're going to be connected with the same topic, and that is trauma in English, because I know many of you need that, and it has never been discussed before. So I am so happy to dive into that topic and to show you how it can turn out to be pretty good, and how you can light up those bad moments in your life, and how you can learn to unlearn some of those bad things. I think I've done my talking for today. So once again, huge hugs and kisses from me, and I will see you and hear you in 2 weeks.